Several years ago, I had a terrifying experience with Santa Claus. I still believed that Santa was real, and I thought he could do anything. I was just like every other kid my age until one day my mom always had this large mark on her face. For as long as I can remember, I was always used to seeing her like that, and it never really bothered me. But sometimes the other kids at school would tease me and make comments about her calling her names, like Two-Faced from the Batman movies. I didn't like them talking bad about my mother. It upset me. My mom was basically my hero. She had raised me by herself. For my whole life, one year, it was getting close to Christmas. I told my mom that I wished that Santa would fix the mark on her face. I told her to ask Santa to do it for Christmas. But my mom told me that it was okay and that she didn't need the mark to go away. She said it was a skin condition that she had since she was little. I tried to change her mind, but she insisted that it didn't matter. I figured that my mom just didn't want to ask for herself, so I decided that I would ask the Santa. Next time I saw him, I believed he was the real Santa, like most gullible kids did. So one day I convinced my mom to take me to the mall. I told her that I wanted to see the Christmas decorations. She didn't really want to at first, but I kept begging her until she finally agreed to take me. When we got to the mall, my mom let me go off by myself, and we agreed to meet back at the front. At a certain time, I immediately got in line to see Santa. There was a pretty big line of kids already there, so I had to wait a while. I watched Santa talk to the other kids while I stood there. But there was something off about him. He looked creepy, as I couldn't fully explain why, but he didn't look like a regular Santa. I was a little freaked out, but I was still just a gullible kid. I didn't think there could be anything wrong with Santa. I told myself that Santa was just having a bad day or something. When I finally reached the front of the line, I immediately went to sit on his lap. That's when I noticed he was looking at me in this creepy way. "What do you want for Christmas, little boy?" Even his voice was scary. He wasn't even trying to sound like Santa. I asked him if he could take away the mark of my mom's face. He immediately said that he couldn't. I asked him again and again, but he kept refusing. I didn't understand how Santa could refuse my request. I kept pushing him, thinking he was just testing me or something. Finally, the Santa just completely snapped. He started yelling at me to stop asking him. "Stop asking me that, just shut up. Shut the hell up before I get security to kick you out of this mall. You spoiling little brat." I was really scared. Now I got off his lap and tried walking away, but the scariest, most blood-curdling thing happened to me. The Santa went psycho and lunged at me. He grabbed me by the shoulders, and started shaking me around like a rag doll. "Stop it, Santa, you're hurting me." I was absolutely terrified he wouldn't let me go. He just kept holding me there with his hands digging into my shoulders. All I could recall was that I started to cry loudly. I remember the Santa saying over and over again, "Shut up, shut the hell up." That's when the elves were finally able to pull Santa off of me. He just kept glaring at me with the creepiest face ever. The elves tried to ask me if I was okay, but I just wanted to find my mom. My mom was waiting for me, and I told her everything that happened. I was completely traumatized. My mom totally freaked out and told me that she was going to have the Santa arrested. She made me go back and point him out to her. I just wanted to go home, but my mom insisted that he wouldn't get away with it. We walked back over, and I pointed out the Santa to her. I waited for my mom to start yelling at me, but she took one look at him and then immediately grabbed me and took me home. She had this terrified look on her face as we left. I asked her why she didn't call the police, but she told me to forget everything that happened. She made me promise that I wouldn't bring it up again. I always wondered why my mom was so scared of Santa. She never talked about it again. Years later, when I was old enough to know that Santa wasn't real, I asked her about the ordeal again. She hesitated for a moment, but then decided that I was old enough to know the truth. She told me that S was her ex-husband and my dad. The reason that she had never told me what happened to him is because he was incredibly abusive. She told me that the mark on her face wasn't a skin condition, it was actually a scar from a laceration caused by my dad before I was born. After she had me, she left him out of fear that he would hurt me too. It was all hard for me to take in. It really freaked me out that I had been so close to my actual dad. I couldn't believe that he had given my mom that scar. Everything made more sense to me now, after knowing the truth. I'm still traumatized by M. Sanders every time I see one. I think about that day. I don't know what my dad would have done to me if I hadn't R away. In time, the story was inspired by a real submitted story that allegedly happened to the victim. When they were younger, the subscriber has mentioned that his mother has since had a restraining order on the ex-husband, and that he hadn't heard or seen his dad since the MSN. What the hell is going on out here? Why are there so many people here at 9 a.m.? It's Wednesday. I know I'm in high school, but don't. You people have anything better to do? Don't you have jobs or something? Finally, what is why? Is everyone right there? So much for showing up early for a good spot in line. Oh no, is that really Santa Claus? What happened to him? It looks like he hasn't eaten since last year. All right, I'm next. I can finally make a wish and get out of here. Has he even blinked this whole time? Why does he keep looking at me? Is he okay? What's going on? Why is that kid crying? Well, it's my turn and I can't hold up the line here. I go, hi, Santa Claus, hello. There you, dashing young man. Come take a seat on old St. Nick's knee. Okay, is that okay? Oh, did I say knee? I meant my lap. Come closer, boy, I'm hard of hearing. Whoa, hey, ow. What was that? What, in your pants? I felt something. Oh, you mean that? What are you talking about? Shh. Come here, boy, that's sand, a secret weapon. I keep it on me so when I'm traveling through certain areas, I can use it on guests who make things exciting. Huh, you mean like a knife or something? Never mind that, it won't hurt you. Just take a sit on the other side of Santa's lap. Okay, hurry up. Now I don't have all day. I'm sorry, Mr. Santa Claus, we can be quick. I promise. Good. Now, what's your name, boy? My name's Keith, and Keith. Do you know if you're on the nice list or the naughty list? This year, the nice list. I've been good, have you? Now I'll be the judge of that. Now tell me, what do you wish for Christmas? Well, sir, it's about my girlfriend be your girlfriend. That doesn't sound like something a nice boy would have. What is it you want with this girlfriend? I want to have, that is a naughty wish. And it just put you back on the naughty list. No, please, I take it back. I'll wish for something else. It's too late for that. There's no way that I could give you a present if you're on the naughty list. Ills, take him away. Please, can't you make an exception? It's not like I wish for something bad. Please, enough. I can make your wish come true, but you have to stop causing a scene, all right? Okay, I'm sorry, Santa. What can I do? Wait a few hours until I clock out, then meet me by my car in the parking lot. It's the one that looks like a magic sleigh. I'll take you to my, workshop. Yes, thank you, Santa. I love you, that's what I like to hear. Now smile for the camera. Santa, is that you? So you found my car. Now get in the car already. Can you see where we're going? Of course, I can. I live right around the corner. I know a shortcut too. Want to see what are you doing? Stop it. Slow down. Are you crazy? You're going to crash. Please stop. You didn't think I kept my job by driving slow. Did you just slow down for the love of God? Please, fine. But only because we're here. What is wrong with you? What's wrong? WR with me, nothing. How else do you think I made it to every house in the world in one night? Just get inside, hurry up. Now, I don't want you to get cold. Go on Santa, who had the fire going while you were gone. Why, it was one of my elves, of course. You're so naive. There's no escape for you. Now you're going to become real familiar with my North Pole. Get back here, I just want to show you where the compass points. Stay away from me, you freak. There's no way you're getting out of here until I let you, and that's not happening for a long time. So just stop making this harder on yourself. Cho ho. No, no, no. Yet. Another tale of terror this year at the community mall. The beloved local Santa Claus we have all known and loved for years was arrested yesterday on multiple charges alleging rampant abuse of guests who visited the mall during the Christmas season. This story was inspired by a disturbing mall incident that happened in Seattle. A 72-year-old former shopping mall Santa Claus was sentenced for his crimes after being accused of violating multiple mall guests. While on the job, the man's name is Ronald Carroll McDonald. It was alleged that he wanted to be a mall Santa, just so he could target younger customers under the radar. Ronald's son ended up asking the judge that his father be given the maximum sentence. Ronald was sobbing as he apologized to his family and to the relatives and friends of his victims in the courtroom. He later stated that he was, quote-unquote, Satan and not Santa, and that he knows everyone wishes him hell. Ronald pleaded guilty for his heinous actions and was sentenced. Accordingly, what I'm about to tell you was the most terrifying experience that I have ever lived through. It's something that I will never forget. It happened years ago, around Christmas. I have a wife and one son. They're the most important people in my life. I would do anything for them. That's what terrified me about that day. The most, the thought that something might happen to one of them. My wife used to be friends with this woman named Jet. I got along with her husband. Okay, but we weren't really close. We only ever saw each other when our wives hung out. Janet and her husband had a son as well. So it was a nice situation. The two kids could play together while the adults talked, and we never had to get a babysitter one year. Janet invited our family over for Christmas dinner. Unfortunately, her husband had to work late that night and couldn't attend, so it would just be me, my wife Janet, and our two sons. I was surprised that Janet would invite us over on a night that her husband worked, but we of course accepted the invitation, so we headed over to Janet's house for dinner. That night it all went well at first. The food was delicious, and we had pleasant conversations. Janet seemed slightly on edge, but I assumed that it was just the stress of the holiday getting to her. I knew I felt burnt out from all the preparations. Then something strange happened. I heard creaking noises coming from upstairs as we ate. I thought it was odd, since no one else was supposed to be home. I asked Janet about it, but she just said something about the house being old. Oh, it creaks like that all the time. Don't worry about it. It happened several more times during the meal. At one point, I could have sworn that I heard footsteps coming from upstairs, but I just ignored it. Based on what Janet had said, it had to just be the old house. Eventually, we finished dinner and headed to the living room. The kids went upstairs to play while my wife Janet and I could conversed and had some wine. Another hour went by without any event, and I realized that it was getting to be pretty late. I was just about to ask my wife if she was ready to leave when suddenly the scariest thing happened. I heard screaming coming from upstairs. My wife and I immediately started panicking, but Janet remained strangely calm. Then I realized it was our son. I immediately ran upstairs to see what was wrong, but when I got up there, all the lights were turned off. For some reason, it was incredibly dark. The screaming had stopped, and I had no idea where it had come from. It was difficult to make out anything in the darkness. "Son, where are you?" He didn't answer. I really started to panic. Then I ran through the dark hallway, checking different rooms. I couldn't find my son anywhere. Then I saw some light peeking out from under a closed door. I frantically opened the door and barged into the room, and I couldn't believe what I saw. My son was lying on the floor with a large man dressed as Santa hovering over him. My son looked scared to death. The man was dressed up like Santa with a wig, beard hat, and boots, but he was in underwear. It was terrifying. What the hell is going on? The man didn't say anything. He just stared at me from behind the fake beard and wig. Then he made a move like he was going to attack me. I quickly pushed him out of the way and grabbed my son. He started crying as I escorted him downstairs in a total panic. I told my wife to get our stuff together and then started cussing at Janet. "What the hell is wrong with you?" She seemed confused about what was happening. I asked her why she would lie about her husband being at work. I knew she had to be in on the whole thing. Janet just stared at me and my wife gauntly and didn't say anything. As a matter of fact, she had this disturbing grin on her face. My family and I were horrified. We got out of that house and drove home as fast as we could. My son was still in shock and crying. I still couldn't believe what happened either. We knew that family. My wife had been friends with Janet for ages. It didn't make any sense. My family found it incredibly disturbing that Janet would pretend that her husband was at work while he was actually hiding upstairs the whole time. It explained everything, though. That was why Janet seemed strange the whole time. The creaking noises that I heard were obviously him moving around. The most horrifying thing was what her husband intended to do to our son. And why was he dressed as Santa on the ride home? My wife got a text from Janet that said, "Is everything okay?" We were totally disgusted. The family had to be completely insane. Why was she still playing innocent? My wife texted back and told Janet that her and her husband were sick and needed help. Janet left it on read, and that was the last time they ever spoke. Janet hasn't responded since my wife completely cut her off. As a friend, of course, we still couldn't understand how they got along so well for such a long time. We tried to report them to the police, but they said that it was just their word against ours. There was nothing they could do. My son was in shock for a long time, but he eventually got over it. Mostly I, for one, am still scared. I can't imagine what would have happened if I hadn't made it to that room in time. I just know that there's something extremely wrong with that family and that they need help. This is downright one of the most disturbing stories. It was a fan-submitted story regarding a viewer who claims he and his family experienced, when invited to his mother's friends' Christmas dinner during the year 2016. Allegedly, the viewer's family opted out of not to file any charges against the D family. The viewer remains traumatized about the ordeal and shares his horrific incident every Christmas.